Roberto De Zerbi has been a revolutionary figure in the football scene as he has taken the Premier League to storm with Brighton. Even with the loss of key players, Brighton manages to hold its ground in the Premier League, puncturing its way to European competition. So far this season, Brighton is looking sharp and the numbers reveal their prowess when it comes to possession. With the way Brighton plays, it can be argued that De Zerbi is a real-life video game cheat code that should be nerfed. A key to Brighton's possession stemmed from the positioning of their players and their ability to free up space for them to progress the ball. By looking at their overall setup, one may notice their tendencies to overload the deeper areas, as they tend to commence their play featuring 2 center-backs, their full-backs advancing further forward, and 2 central midfielders. With Brighton overloading the deeper areas, the opposition may be tempted to press the Seagulls, and Brighton would play against the pressure by moving the ball around, forcing the opposition's defense up front to change its position, which in turn would free up space in certain areas. Like in this situation, Brighton can use their goalkeeper to carry the ball, which would attract the opposing player, freeing up space for one of their center-backs. Once the center-backs carry the ball, space could be made for their central midfielders. Brighton is left with many options, as they could give the ball to Gilmour, who could pass it to a running Estupinian, or they could pass it to any of their forward players like Evan Ferguson, for example, in case they decide to drop deep. With Ferguson dropping deep, he can actually pass it to a running Grouse or Veltman, or he could return the ball to Gilmour, given the amount of space he has. Now if the opposition sits back on a low block, Brighton can opt to move their players further forward and commence their passing sequence. And how do they deal with these rigid defensive schemes? Well, the Seagulls have a plethora of options. A key component in Brighton's possession stemmed from the movements of their players up front and Pascal Gross. There are many ways for Brighton to move the ball forward, as the likes of João Pedro and Evan Ferguson could drop deep to support the build-up play. With these players dropping deep, additional passing angles are made, and spaces are made for runners like Mitoma, which he could exploit. Then of course there's Gross, who would move forward and roam around, creating overloads and passing angles. He also creates space for Brighton's fullbacks to move further upfield. Meanwhile, his partner in crime, Gilmour, would serve as the bridge who can switch the play in case Brighton struggle to penetrate a certain area. With Gross and other members overloading, and with João Pedro staying on the half spaces to narrow the opposition's defensive shape, space is then created for Kaoru Mitoma, who is one of the best in the scene in terms of challenging defenders and capitalizing on 1v1 situations. While Brighton has been a fun team to watch, there are some lingering concerns that are worth pondering. Moises Caicedo was an integral piece for Brighton, especially on the defensive end, as he disrupts the opposition's build-up play and counter-attacking prowess. With his departure to Chelsea, will the team be able to replicate his defensive impact? Overall, De Zerbi has done a wonderful impact for Brighton, and it would be interesting to see if he is capable of pushing Brighton to greater heights, or will he land a job in a bigger organization? Let us know your thoughts on Roberto De Zerbi and his philosophy in the comments section. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for updates. Thanks, detectives, and hopefully we could solve more mysteries together. Until next time,